sponsor is transform84.travellifestyle.com. It's a system that promotes weight loss and immune health. It is all about keeping the body fit, safe, and healthy.
Hey everyone, it's your host Mark Hill here, alongside with your co-host Kennedy.
Hello there.
And today is a very short episode. Sorry again, we've mentioned this before in a couple unreleased videos that we just haven't been able to put up, that we've been having, some issues with uploading these videos, but hopefully we'll start getting back on track soon. So let's not waste any more time and go ahead and get into it. All right, so what we're going to talk about today is one of me and Kennedy's favorite topics to discuss in our spare time, and it's zombies. Call of Duty zombies, to be specific. Yeah. So we're just going to talk about a couple of our favorite maps, what we think, or at least try to pinpoint where exactly we think where zombies were started to go downhill. And, just more things in general about, our love for it and how we really grew together and bonded over it. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So I just want to start off by asking, I already know these answers, but, for the viewers listening, what's your favorite map? Or at least your top 3 favorite zombie maps of all time?
Okay, well, you already know. Mine, it's, for me, Mob of the Dead, number 1. Origins, number 2. And Gorod Crovey at number 3.
Really? Gorod Crovey?
Yes.
Pretty much the same list as you for me. It's just my third favorite, really, is Moon.
Oh, yeah, I almost forgot about Moon.
Excuse me, just taking a sip of my cola. I'm actually really fond of the series. I remember playing, I didn't have enough money to afford the DLCs, later on. Early on, in my time with zombies. So me and my stepbrother would just play Theater of the Dead on BO1, right? And we just bonded over that. So at that point in time, zombies became something close, to me. It was something really dear to my heart, and I kind of started really picking up the story, though, around Black Ops 3. And that's when we go back to Black Ops 2, of course, and Black Ops 1, and actually, learn the stories. But the first time I actually encountered, zombies in general was, World at War, which was the first time it was ever, exposed to us. And honestly, it just took off from there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm sure you're very familiar. Wait, have you played World at War?
I have.
Have you played the zombies?
I have. I don't really play. I never really played World at War for the the multiplayer or the campaign. I really only played it for the zombies, and that was not too long ago, actually. Because World at War, it wasn't my first introduction to zombies. That was actually Black Ops 2.
Mm-hmm.
Back when my dad used to live in Texas, and I played it, and I sucked at it, but I liked it still.
That was kind of how me and my stepbrother was. My stepbrother was always a little bit better at me when it came to just gaming, especially competitively. But, the more we played, the better I got. And I sunk, over hundreds of hours into that one map alone. Voice crack. But we sunk, a lot of time pretty much into just that one map alone. And we just bonded over that experience. So I guess that's why, I take zombies so very serious, and it really sucks to know that the zombies that I grew up with is no longer the same zombies,
Yeah.
The maps and the story is just all fucked.
Yeah.
And I don't really like where this is going.
Me neither.
Black Ops 3, I'm pretty sure we both can agree on, was the peak of zombies. That's when zombie YouTubers were really growing big. Smith Plays, 457,
Yeah.
Freaking
Timothy
TNT
Hansen, let's
Lexify.
not forget.
Oh wait, no, didn't mean. I didn't even hear you.
I said Timothy Hansen.
Timothy, he's more new. Was he around back then? I'm not.
He was around. He was back when like it was like when the zombies was kind of dying off, and he brung it back.
No, I mean like early, like at the peak of it, back when BO3 was like released.
Yes,
He was doing YouTube back then.
I believe so.
Cause he's around our age, you know. So like, when did BO3 come out?
Jeez, I can't remember. Man, it's been so long since that game came out.
Right, it feels like forever, you know. But like, now when I think about it, like the games itself, you know. Well, no, cause I forgot about the non-canon zombie games, like, you know, Infinite Warfare. Well, they're not non-canon, but they're like in their own separate story, you know.
Yeah. Like
Infinite Warfare, Advanced Warfare, which I don't really agree with that they had to make that paid, you know? Like,
yeah,
included in the game.
You know, they just included in.
And then it wasn't even a very strong zombies mode either.
It sucked ass.
I mean, I wouldn't say I got some enjoyment from it.
I found little enjoyment in it.
Really?
Yes, it was too easy.
I mean, you had freaking exosuits that enhance your strength. You got to, you know, boost jump everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's easily avoiding zombies. But then they have zombies who like had exosuits attached to them too. Was that like I forgot if that was even like on? Yeah, it was on the first level, wasn't it? Like the third map there had got released for it. I believe so. Forgive me. This is not a very organized, you know, video today. Or honestly, just talking about, you know, whatever we feel like talking about. I don't really have time to get no notes together and stuff like that. We just wanted to put some out here. But let's just pause here. I hope you guys are doing well today. You know.
Yeah, I hope you guys are doing really well.
Really a lot going on in the world, obviously, but school's about to start back soon, and I just want you all to be safe out there. You know. But so I know I probably should have addressed this earlier back when I asked you what was your 3 favorite maps. So why are they your 3 favorite maps?
Well,
like, is it because of Easter eggs, or just like map design, or just like completely story based?
Like, for me, mostly it was map design and the story. Like, I've always really liked it. It's really intriguing, you know, really interesting and all. And, you know, the characters, you know, obviously pretty much like the what are they, was it Premise they go by now? No, that was the 1.0 version. Am I right?
Yeah, we'll just say 1.0 to keep everybody
like
less confused.
And like the 1.0 and the 2.0 characters, they really just carried the rest of the zombies after it started to become bad. Like, I still like the characters though. So yeah.
Like the Chaos story in BO4, I didn't really like it. Like, the only character I really found, you know, very interesting was Diego, and honestly, that's because he made me laugh.
Exactly. Other than that, the story is trash.
Hell, half of the characters are dead.
Yes.
Honestly, if you read the comics, you would know. Especially like, because Bruno was there before, you know, he even got programmed into the game, and then he killed freaking Shaw, you know.
Spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers.
But I highly doubt anyone's gonna just want to buy the game and play it again to see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure most of our listeners don't even know what we're talking about.
It was a pretty gut-wrenching scene.
It was honestly shocking. I didn't expect them to do that. I wondered why they did that though. Why?
Okay, but why though?
Exactly. Okay, but why?
Yeah, but pretty much their personalities range from, you know, badass one-liners and whatnot, and things about the past.
Mm-hmm.
And Diego hitting on Scarlett a lot, and Bruno wanting to kill a lot, and Shaw being old.
Shaw being old.
Scarlett being smart.
Classification we have for him.
And Scarlett being smart and badass.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, like, if you could draw comparisons, who would you say is who from the 1.0 or 1.0, or not 1.0, but 2.0 crew? Like, who do you think would be who? Like Takiao, Dempsey, Nikolai, Rick Toffin.
So, okay, the easiest ones is Shaw and Rick Toffin. They're both the mad scientists of the group.
Mm-hmm.
So like Dempsey and Bruno are the closest.
Really?
Yes, Dempsey and Bruno, because they're both like the muscle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're like the most bloodthirsty.
Yeah, and they're like the big strong muscles of the group. Diego. See, so because like the thing with Diego is like he doesn't really share too many similarities with pretty much anyone else from the premise.
He's kind of his own character.
Yeah, but if shot in the dark, if you put a point of the gun to my head and told me I had to make a decision, I'd probably say like 1.0 Nikolai, because his.
I think he's a mix between, because he's not as canon as you said before when we would talk about this. You don't think he's much of a loose cannon like 1.0 Nikolai, but he has the seriousness of 2.0 Nikolai, but he has the goofiness and like the jokes of 1.0 Nikolai.
So yeah, I guess he would be the Nikolai. And Takeo is Scarlet, because there's no more room for anyone else.
Yeah, no one else. Compared to,
because like there's no real talk about any of the groups struggling with family problems other than Nikolai. And some people think that Misty is Dempsey's daughter.
Yes, I've heard of plenty of like fan theories about that.
Yeah, it turns out that they were wrong.
Completely wrong.
But so she gets Takeo because I don't know.
Just because.
I like Takeo, he's cool.
People thought he was really dull, I
mean, the 1.0 version of him kind of was.
Yeah, I like the 2.0 version. Obviously more.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like 1.0 crew was just fucking crazy.
Yes.
Honestly.
Some of their lines in there were just utterly nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Rick Toffin.
Jesus, he died on the Giant, didn't he?
He died. No, he died on the Blood of the. Well, one of his versions died on the Blood of the Dead, which was really sad.
Yeah, that. Okay, yeah, that wasn't that 2.0.
Yep, that was the 2.0 version of Rick Toffin.
Yep, I was talking about 1.0. I didn't really like 1.0 like that. Like, he was interesting, but I didn't really like him because he was fucking evil.
Right. He's an anti-villain.
Right. But of course, nevertheless, I enjoyed his time.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I was glad when they brought a more down-to-earth version of Rick Toffin.
Yes.
Like, I could honestly, I sympathize with him, And, the fact that he was trying his best to not get them killed, especially himself.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Blood of the Dead cutscene showed how human Rick Toffin was. 2.0 Rick Toffin, at least. A lot of people cried,
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Myself included.
Right, it was such an emotional scene, especially for a zombies campaign.
I mean, even though there's just gonna be another version, but still though,
nothing will ever be the same without him.
Yeah, it's really sad.
He was the nicest one, and they'll never know.
Oof. That's better than Mr. Stark. I don't feel so good. Change his mind.
That's more of a meme. This isn't a meme. This is just sadness.
Right.
But man, I guess that was one of the most powerful scenes, really.
It was really emotional.
I think that's the only plus side of that whole map, Blood of the Dead.
Jesus Christ. That map was frustrating.
So many parts from that map.
So many unnecessary parts, and did not need to be added.
Right. Like, you know it's bad when people go back to BO2 just to play that map. Like, why can't they just do, like, a remaster instead of a remake? You know?
I mean, that's what Blood of the most of the maps were remasters. But they added stuff.
I hate we didn't get a Zombies Chronicles, you know?
Yeah. With legitimately good maps. Original maps. If they're gonna remaster something, remaster the bad maps. Die Rise, Transit, literally anything other than like Mob of the Dead.
Dude, Transit would have been so good on either BO3 or BO4. I'm telling you,
without the cancerous option, other things blocking the way.
The fog.
Let us walk there.
Jesus, but that's because of the limitations of what they had back then. But this is like next gen. I just hate they didn't have the budget to work it in there.
Yeah, I don't know why they couldn't just remake Transit, dude. It might actually make me like it.
Right, I wouldn't have hated it so much if it wasn't, for the fucking fog and the stupid ass bus. The bus driver was cool, but the fucking bus concept itself, horrible. Jesus. Like, BO2 has like some of the best maps ever.
Yes.
And has the worst maps ever.
Yes.
At the exact same time. BO3, I think it was all good except for Zetsubo no Shima. Like, people didn't really like that map, but it was Takio's map. People said the boss battle didn't they say it was too hard or something like that? They complained about it being too hard.
I think. It was too hard or was too easy, I forget which. So it was probably too hard.
Yeah. I think it
played too hard. I've never played Zetsubo.
And Revelations was supposed to be the very last map. That was supposed to end it all. Like, when I saw the cutscene for it, it was like it felt bittersweet.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like a happy ending, and they seemed like they wanted to end it there, but then again, they left it open, I guess, to continue it on. Because they had such a good run in BO3. Like, literally no map was bad. It was just, like, decent at worst.
Yes.
Like, that's why so many people love BO3, and that's why people mod the shit out of BO3.
Yes.
And people think the engine is better on BO3 than it is BO4. And, like, I don't know.
Dude, any engine that has a very reduced HUD to where I can actually see most things on my screen without having, like, big circles all over the place, it's fine with me. Like, BO4 HUD is absolute cancer.
That's just the HUD. Like, that's an easy fix. You can obviously just remove the HUD. I don't think that would be very troublesome.
The old school perk system.
That's another thing that got fucking wrong with BO4. The fucking perk system. Dude, like, it was so good the way it was. And, like, it just had to go in. Well, I don't want to say ruin it, because, like, it did bring some cool things, but it also just, like, threw everybody off, Like, everything was just, like, a ripped off version of original perks.
Yes, except for Jug.
Exactly. Like, where's Jug? You don't make a remake of every single perk except Jug. Like, that's the one we need.
They don't have Jug. I don't think they have Speed Cola in there.
Wait, no. I just remembered. We actually do have Jug. We already have it on us. That's what Tim Hansen said, because we start off with more health than we did in other, zombie games. Well, not zombie games, but, other Call of Duty zombie modes.
That's gay.
Yeah, and Tim had such a hard problem with it because, like, he was like, he doesn't feel, protected, because he doesn't go and grab, he doesn't save up the money for it, he doesn't buy it, he doesn't feel protected, You just start off with it. You already feel vulnerable. You're not supposed to feel vulnerable when you get up, like, higher rounds. You're supposed to feel like you can actually do this, But even when you get established in BO4, you don't feel nearly as prepared as you did when you got in the high rounds on BO3.
Yeah.
And that's just facts.
This is I hate it.
It's a tragedy. It's I guess it's like almost clear as day that zombies will never be the same because of what BO4 did. Even though it wasn't Treyarch's fault, isn't Activision over BO4 and like all the Call of Duties?
I don't think all of them, but
was it BO4 specifically though?
It might have been.
Because I know the reason why BO4 was the failure it was because of games like Fortnite and PUBG. Well, mostly Fortnite. Fortnite is what really shoved Battle Royale down into the gaming community's throat. It said, swallow that shit, bitch. That changed everything. You cannot find a FPS without a Battle Royale these days or a freaking Battle Pass. Yeah. Hell, even the new Modern Warfare has a Battle Pass like every couple months.
Man.
Like, things have changed, Instead of having loot boxes, this is their new way of getting money.
Uh-huh.
But at least BO4 did it better. Like, you didn't have to pay for it because you already paid for the game. I don't like paying for more stuff to complete the game. I should be able to participate in every single event if I bought your fucking game.
Yeah.
It's frustrating, especially for people who don't have money, because I was in that boat not long ago, like where I couldn't afford the Battle Pass, so I couldn't afford the items that they were giving, the skins that they were giving out, the guns, even though like I think the guns are free, but like still you're wasting your time just to get a gun that's like later down in the tiers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a waste of your time.
Unless you buy the Battle Pass, but that's
right.
Once you do all that. I mean, the Battle Pass bundle.
You didn't have to do that for BO4. Why couldn't they do the same for Modern Warfare? I get this is supposed to be a reboot, but there were actually some things that BO4 did right.
Yes.
Like, when you bought the game, you got all the battle passes, all right? You just had to work your way through them. You didn't have to buy it and then work your way through it. Like, wow, I just paid for more work. Like, who asked for this? Because I sure the hell did.
Me neither.
That's all I really have to say about the battle passes. And as far as like battle royales go, like I can't say that it was fun, but battle royale ruined BO4, and it's an injustice, because it could have been such a good game. They made them scrap an entire campaign just to make a battle royale. Although it was fun, you just made the rest of the game shit.
Pretty much.
Literally, you just made the rest of the game shit. Man.
And the fact that I only played the shit parts of the game.
Right. Like, there was only one good zombies map on there, and I believe it was 9.
Yes.
Right?
That
was the only good map. And unless you bought
5 also was okay.
Yeah.
It was It wasn't really
Like, once again, like most of the maps that are DLC that were remakes, the only original maps are on Chaos Story. We want a new map for freaking, the Ether Story too, but they never gave it to us.
Because no.
Because of budget cuts, man.
Yes.
Because of budget cuts. Because they used most of their assets making the campaign that they had to scrap. So now, when it came to DLC for zombie maps and stuff like that, they had to cut it all down and just work with what they had. So that's why you see so many reused maps like Nuketown, freaking Mob of the Dead. Let's see here, we got 5 again.
Mm-hmm. Nuketown.
Especially Nuketown. Like, you used the multiplayer map for a zombie map, really? Like, that was done before in BO2, but it didn't feel like, if the budget cut, it didn't feel like you had to do it. It was like just some extra. We appreciated that not many people played it. But it was a nice alternative to freaking Transit, I'll tell you that.
Yes. It really was.
Mm-hmm. But I never really played zombies on BO2, like I said, because I just didn't have the money to pay for the DLCs, and the DLCs were bomb as fuck,
Hey, yo, what was what's that one map? What was it called? Was it called Night of the Dead or Day of the Dead? I can't remember. It's the one where they're in the mansion. The one with like the monsters, werewolves.
Night of the Dead. I know what you're talking about though. When all the characters there got killed, and the butler was actually evil as hell because he was already dead and he was possessed by that artifact. Did you know that was supposed to be the opening map?
Ew.
Yes, like I'm glad that they didn't do that because that map, from what I heard, is so fucking shit. They throw so much
garbage.
They throw lichens, vampires, and then on top of that, zombies. And what else? Like, I know it's more because I remember Tim just ranting completely about it.
Yep. Actually awful.
It's awful. I'm glad they didn't do that, but it would make sense, to have that because it introduces you to the freaking Chaos Sword instead of just plopping you in a fucking ship.
Which was also bad.
Yeah, it was an awesome concept. In fact, Stone, when I played all three of the maps with him, he said, that was his favorite. And I was like, I can understand why,
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're on the Titanic. Like, that's fucking amazing, But at the same time, it's so claustrophobic. There's no room to train correctly, You have to run around the whole damn ship and, like, abuse the teleport.
Pretty much. But like it was like it was hard for me to find like shield parts most of the time. There were so many like tight corridors. It map was all over the place. The only thing that saved it from that was the fast travel, and even still, it was kind of hard to keep up with as well.
Like, honestly, it's just a tragedy what they did to BO4. BO4 could have been something great, but of course, current day things are ruining games today. Battle passes, battle royale. Like, it just seems like Fortnite just took over everything.
Fortnite. Speaking of Fortnite, kind of lost its crash.
How do you feel about Fortnite? I know this is kind of off topic, but how do you feel about Fortnite? Because I'm over here just like blaming Fortnite for everything. You might actually like Fortnite.
I won't say I like. Like is a very strong word. I tolerate it. I'll say that. So I don't think it's a bad game. It's just not my type of game. So yeah. There you go.
Well, I guess that's it then.
So well, how do you feel about it?
I mean, of course, I never fucking liked Fortnite. Oh. Like, honestly, like, I just didn't like. And then the way it was like presented for like little kids, they kind of ruined it for me too. And then like, I don't know, I just didn't find enjoyment in it. Just battle royales in general were not for me. Like things like DayZ, PUBG, they weren't really for me. Like I played PUBG Mobile, but that was fun. But that was only because I was playing with my friends. But all right, folks, we're coming close to about 30 minutes now. And I really like to get this video out. So thanks for joining us, and hopefully you'll catch us next time.
Goodbye.